Welcome to Beyond the Quo. Hi guys, it's Stacey back for another round, and I'm so excited for our episode today. So as you know, this is a space where we talk about three things. We talk about redefining success on our own terms. We talk about living authentically and what that means, and it's something different for everyone. And we talk about leading courageously. And for a lot of people, when they think about leadership, they think about, oh, I'm leading in a boardroom or I'm leading in a company. And while that's true, I do think that leading courageously starts with leading ourselves, leading each other in our families, leading our communities, and sort of having that ripple effect. And today's guest, Mary Sol González, whom I'll introduce in a second, is one of those people that I believe does all three of these things so well. So, like I said, I'm your host, Stacey Luces, and I'm so glad we're here. I think I shared this stat the other day. So right now, this podcast is in 20 countries. And when I started this about, last October, I had no idea that it would take off. But I do believe that given the times that we're in and the conversations that people are craving, having these raw and often heartfelt conversations makes so much sense. And I love the fact that you guys are sending me little DMs with topics you want to talk about. And so I'm excited kind of to share some of those conversations that you're wanting to hear more of. So like I said, I'm honored to welcome Mary Sol González. Welcome, Mary Sol.
Hi, thank you, Stacey. So excited to be here.
Me too. She is a visionary leader whose career spans 4 continents. She's someone that has dedicated her life to building bridges, creating opportunities, and redefining what leadership looks like for the Hispanic community and beyond. Mary Sol is currently the president and CEO of the Hispanic Heritage Chamber of Commerce, and she represents Broward and Palm Beach counties. She also co-founded the Hispanic Entrepreneur Initiative and Image 360 Boca Raton, and she's been recognized with numerous awards, including the Hispanic Woman of Distinction 2024, Latina of Influence 2024, and even the U.S. Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. So amazing. Beyond her impressive accolades, what really inspires me, and I'm sure everyone that knows Mary Sol, is that her story, I believe, is really one about legacy. And it's about creating ripples where she's not just leading, but she's lifting others and inviting others to do so with her. Mary Sol, welcome to Beyond the Quo. I'm so happy to have you.
No, thank you, Stacey. This space, like you said, is so important. It gives voices to so many great stories. Yeah. I have been looking for places that are, like you said, real, where people can speak without it being rehearsed.
Sure.
And I really believe those are the ones that have the biggest impact. That's why you're in 20 countries.
Yes, I love that. And
let's do 40.
Let's do 40. I met you last year. So it was a Category 5 hurricane. And there was a gala that we were both invited to by mutual friends. Shout out to Mike and Dan Nathanson. And they sat us next to each other at that table. And we couldn't shut up. Like, we talked the whole time over the music, over everything. And I, kudos to those guys, because they understood that putting like minds together would create amazing things. And we've gone on to sort of get to know each other and support each other for different, not only events, but just personally. And I deeply, above even all the awards you could ever win, Mary Sol, I think that your the humility and grace you bring to every conversation and every interaction really is so special.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so let's start at the beginning. You've worked across 4 continents. That's so impressive. And you often talk about learning to see beyond borders. When you think about leadership and legacy, like, those 2 things are so important, I think, as we get into midlife and beyond, where the runway in front of us is shorter than the one we've just lived. So we start thinking about, is what I'm doing really important? Do I matter? Right? Like, is the work that I'm doing going to survive beyond me? And I think for a lot of people, it's a stopgap, a crossroads, where they have to really think about their impact. And it creates a lot of uncertainty. In your opinion, like, when we think about communities and we think about your work with the chamber and sort of all of the initiatives that you're in, what do you see as a key ingredient for those wanting to think about the legacy that they're leaving for their communities?
I believe leaving a legacy, especially at this point of my life. I'm 62. I'm not afraid to say, because there have been 62 very well-lived years.
Sure.
At this point is beyond me, because it's what have I built? What do I still want to build and leave behind? And I really feel people need to lead with authenticity. If you want to leave a legacy, it has to be something you truly believe in, that makes you wake up in the morning and say, okay, it's worth it. I don't want to do it today, but yes, it is worth it. Is to see other people applying what you want them to learn, what you want them to do, and living a better life because of it. So I really believe living with authenticity would be one. I believe you need to work on yourself. To be able to build anything, you need to constantly work on yourself. You need to invest in your personal, in your professional growth, in your education, to be able to pass it to others.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how old you are. You need to look for a mentor. We all need mentors at all stages in our life. And you have been a mentor to me. And those conversations we have, I always live with something that makes me better. Yeah. So that, to me, that's being a mentor. And I appreciate that. So, and the last point, I would say, you need to have a plan for whatever you want to do, but you have to be flexible enough to understand that life happens. Yeah. Life is a series of moments, and it changes from one to the next, and your plan can change, but you need to have a north, but still be able to pivot when necessary.
I love that. I think one of the things I am discovering, so I am 47, right? There's a couple of years between us. And I just sent my daughter off to college. And one of the things I'm discovering now that I have more free time, in the sense of I don't have pick up and drop off, right? They're a lot more independent. Now I can really sink my teeth into what I want to do, right? Because now the opportunities, if I want to travel more, if I want to do meetings in whatever time. And I think for a lot of women younger, like let's say 10 years younger than me or with younger kids, I didn't feel I had that flexibility 10 years ago at all. And so what do we say to those of us with fire in our belly and with these great inspiring visions when it's like, I just don't have the time? And I'm pushing us a little bit to have this conversation, because a big part of Beyond the Quo is taking people beyond the status quo, because it's so comfortable there. It's easy to say, I don't have the time, I don't have the resources, I don't know enough people, and opt out of important work and life-changing things when you have an idea that nobody else has. What do we say to those men and women that are kind of in that very comfortable space, but something inside of them is like, ugh, this doesn't feel right, but they just are stuck?
I think a lot of the time is fear. And if you come from a space of fear, you will see only walls.
Yes.
And you need to go beyond those walls and see that you don't have to do it alone. To me, you don't need to do it alone.
I love that.
There is always somebody that has walked that road before you, maybe not the exact way with your same idea, but there are so many great people around that are willing to give you that little push, to accompany you in that road. And especially, I believe, coming from an immigrant perspective, that you see all the time, because the first thing you had to do was leave your country.
Yes.
Even if you didn't want to. And that, I believe, is one of the scariest things that happened. But you did it. You survived. So that you can apply to everything. And don't let the idea die.
Yeah.
Because, if it doesn't work, doesn't work. nothing changes. But what if it works?
What if it works?
What if, I always say, if they tell me no, it doesn't change it.
Yeah.
But what if they tell me yes?
Yes.
And I have been blessed that many people have said yes throughout the years, and I have seen those ideas happen. And I'm like, wow, it was worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So that feeling and to see that idea grow, don't rob yourself of that opportunity.
Yeah. When I spoke at the Hispanic Entrepreneurs Initiative at their symposium in February, we did the CEO symposium. I have never done a speech where so many people it resonated with. And I think I went a different route when I gave the speech, which was pretty vulnerable. And I'm always vulnerable, but I think particularly on that day, because there were so many female entrepreneurs and business owners who are immigrants and who are in a different season of life. And it was important for me to say that I have walked that path. I have worked 3 jobs and put myself through college, and I'm the eldest of 5. And my first paycheck, I gave all of it to my parents to help them pay their rent, right? When we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment in Maryland. So it was important for me to say that, but it was also important to say I did have a full-time job with little kids and still worked a tiny little percent of the time on a bigger thing. Instead of, and somebody was like, well, isn't that like having 2 jobs? And I said, no, it's choosing what I do with my free time differently. So I could watch TV. Nobody's saying don't watch TV or don't read or don't relax. But if you don't carve time for your dream, I don't think anybody else will, right? And so you can set up tiny little building blocks, whether it's taking a course or having the conversations you just talked about with mentors, or watching a documentary on somebody that did a version of what you want to do, or going to chamber events where somebody's sharing their story.
Yeah.
And just start filing away. And it's almost like a little dream box. You know what I mean?
Yes, I really believe that you should have this little chest where you put your ideas, and I keep mine is always pretty full because they go.
Mary Sol, I don't believe that. No?
Some say no, and it's not like I say no all the time. Mm-hmm. It's that not now.
Yes.
You need to know also when it is not now.
Yes.
And you just put your idea there. You don't forget it. You know it's in that drawer. And when the time and the conditions are right, you pull it out and plug it in. So I really believe have those ideas work. And nowadays there are many ways. Before there were not so many resources. Nowadays, even the internet is at your fingertips. You can be at home. And you can, like you said, choose, do I give 15 minutes to this?
Yeah.
Or do I spend 15 minutes, I don't know, doing something that may be meaningless? And sometimes it's good to do those meaningless things just to, like, unwind. Yeah. That's okay.
Yeah.
But you, like you said, that's part of the plan. And also, again, maybe out of the experience, give yourself some mercy. If one day you couldn't do the 15 minutes, that's okay. You do it tomorrow. But take it. It's not like because I didn't do it for 3 days, I forget it. No, I won't never do it. So also give yourself that little space to fail or to be tired or to say today no.
Give yourself grace.
Because sometimes when you don't give yourself grace, you end up being your worst judge. Yeah. And you need to be on your own corner.
But also find somebody that's going to push you out of the nest.
Yes.
Like we can do both things.
Yes.
We can have grace, and we can say, you know what? I had grace with myself last week.
Yes.
I'm going to push a little bit harder.
It's a balance.
It's a balance, yes.
Yes, because what I have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Sure.
And some people is so much stress. Again, going back into the concept of success. And they want to live the concept of success that is out there, that is on TV, that is on the magazine, that is on social media. And they feel, oh no, I'm not up to par. Yes. I'm failing. And that's what I mean with give yourself a little bit of grace. As long as you are moving forward, you are moving.
Yeah. I was telling my kids the other day, I watched this documentary and they were talking about healthy competition, right? And they said, normally, let's pretend back thousands of years ago we're living in a cave and you come out of your cave and the dude next to you is suddenly wearing furry shoes and your feet are cold and you're like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I designed these and now my feet are warm. And so you're like, I got to get some of those shoes for my feet. And so that's healthy comparison, right?
Yes.
That's healthy. My gosh, that's going to better me. But now with the advent of social media, we've got our young adults and even ourselves comparing ourselves to someone that is light years ahead of us with maybe 20 years of experience. Who knows what their background is? And we are comparing our journey and our yardstick for success against that. And it wasn't meant to be like that. I shouldn't be able to see somebody in Dubai, right, who's like a gazillionaire running an empire and be like, oh, I suck. That's what happens sometimes, to your point. What are some healthy ways that even at the chamber we can talk to each other as entrepreneurs, as founders, to say, how can we challenge each other in a healthy fashion and uplift each other in a way that we all rise? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, with the Hispanic Heritage Chamber, we have a goal to uplift our community. Of course, our focus is the Hispanic community, is our background, is our heritage, but we are a chamber for everyone. And one of the things we are starting, actually we're starting on September 1st with a program. This one is for older adults, maybe closer to retiring or they may be retired. And then we are doing one for everyone else that is a program focused on wellness. And this wellness circle that we're going to have will encompass all this. One of the panels we had at our summit called Progresando was on that. And the psychologists and the life coaches that were on the panel were talking about that. When you enter this unhealthy competition, when you lose that balance, you live in this, what is the
it's
word?
Like FOMO?
Yes, but also your anxiety level is so high that your body starts,
It's like you're paralyzed. You can't move forward.
You are like, okay, I'm not going to be able to do it because they did it, or no, I'm going, and that body starts getting used to work on that high stress level, but you get sick in many, many ways. So you cannot be successful if you are not well. Yeah. But you need to understand your biggest competition is you. You need to be better than you were yesterday. You need to be better than what you were a year ago when you started or when you just had the idea. How much have I done? How much have I accomplished in that plan? Oh, wow, I see the successful ones, but to be inspired. I don't need to be them. I don't need to do it exactly like them, but I have my own unique things. We were talking about chambers. There are chambers that are huge, that I admire, that I respect. A Boca Chamber being one of them. I was part of that chamber for ever.
A long time.
For a long time. And I really, or there is the Hispanic Chamber in Miami, that is a large chamber. Those are people that have already been in there for decades. These are people that you get inspired and respect their work, but you do your own thing.
Sure.
And and like that, if you have a business, because no business, unless you are a very particular kind of person is unique. What is unique is the business owner. So you need
it's
to be
your
your
fingerprint, your DNA that's in that, your voice, right? That culture. That I love that. So you shared when we were, filling out some forms and stuff, that at 50, your life completely shifted. You discovered it's never too late to start again. And sort of that led to a radical shift in finally becoming the person you were meant to be. Tell us a little bit about that journey and some of the key lessons you learned.
Well, my spanning 4 continents that Stacey mentioned at the beginning, I always work, and I consider work even though I didn't get paid because I put my all into what I did.
Yeah.
And I always was on the area of the nonprofit.
Yeah.
So wherever I went, I seek what were the issues in that particular area and how I could help. So I studied the different nonprofits there, and I always join one and work on that. But that was my life. Then a few years before I was 50, like around maybe 40, we as a family got a business that was supposed to be run to be a legacy for my daughter. Little did I know she didn't want the business. But that was one of the lessons. But I jumped into being a business owner and having to deal with public and with chamber and relations, but with a different perspective. And through all this, my husband got sick. He went through a very hard experience, and he had to retire. And as he retired, first, I found myself become a caregiver for many years. And thank goodness now things have changed and he's thriving. But I had to make a decision, sell the business, and know that the years to come, my goal was to be there for him and to be there for my daughter. So that was the first change. My life from a very kind of easy life in a way, if you can say, where was surrounded by traveling and by a lot of exciting things, went to be always afraid. And that is a feeling that I don't wish anybody, because his condition was so bad that you live every day thinking like, okay, what's going to happen next? But through all that, something that is very personal, like kicking, and I'm like, okay, so what's next? I cannot be just doing this. I cannot live fear, mandate how I live. And I continue. I went back to my nonprofits. That was my oxygen.
Sure.
Stellar.
I love that.
They were my oxygen. Putting my care in other people took, instead of adding stress, took the stress from me. Gave me focus, gave me goodness that I could see every day happening. YMCA, I want to name them, being one of those, Fuller Center, the Children's Museum, all those things that made me move forward. Being that, started the roles again in the boards of directors, and came the opportunity to become a nonprofit consultant at 50-something. And I said,
so that whole journey led to this reinvention that you could have never imagined.
I'm like, why not? And then one thing led to another, to what I'm today. So what were the lessons? It is never too late.
Never too late.
And also, what we were talking before, you have to be flexible. Life is unpredictable. If there is something that you can have in life for sure, is that change will happen. And how you deal with the changes, that is what is going to dictate, are you going to survive it? Or are you going to get stuck? And I refuse to get stuck. I think that is my major learning from this, and to tell people, yes, you can do it. And in the meantime, so many blessings abound, and you find wonderful people along the way.
When you talk about quality of life, I think that's what that is, right?
Yes.
Like we get to choose the quality of our life.
Yes.
And even in the worst situations, I'll give you a perfect example. My husband's going to hate that I'm telling this story, but he's going through so much right now with his parents. And he came home late last night from a flight from Washington, D.C. It was thunderstorming. The dog cried all night because he hates the thunder. So we didn't get good sleep. And this morning, he left the house at 6:45. And there was an accident. So he was detoured, couldn't take 95. He went down Congress. And for those of you not in Florida, this isn't going to make any sense. But an hour later, he gets a flat tire. Like his tire blows out on Congress, right? He was going 30 miles an hour. So he, pulled over, went into a side street. Now he has to wait for whatever, the car and so forth. And he called me right before the podcast to tell me what happened. And he teaches me a lot. Like he teaches me a lot of times to have that better perspective. He said, if this had happened when I was on the highway going 70 or 75, he said, so however this happened, yes, I'm sitting outside sweating, waiting for the tow truck and all this stuff. But he said, in his own way, God's looking out for me. I had to avoid the 95. And so I think the perspective, right? You and I were laughing just now talking about glasses and all of that stuff. And I always say it's like the optometrist trying to get your right prescription. It is what your prescription is not going to be my prescription. So we all have to find a way to shift the lens to see. And I'm not saying be a fake glass half full person, but the way that he was able to shift that and really just sit quietly sipping his coffee really was a lesson for me this morning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you could be grumpy about that.
But also, and look, like I'm like every day, every minute, every second, super grateful
Right.
of life.
No,
because
there's shitty days
I'm
sometimes.
But I try to be grateful.
Yes.
Because I believe if you see the good and the blessings and whatever.
And you can laugh about the crappy stuff
But
a little bit more.
But let me tell you, some days I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this, whatever anymore. But you see that perspective. And I believe the more you live that way, it becomes part of who you are.
Yes.
So
it does.
the more you listen to him, it will be part of who you are.
I would have been like, ugh.
Yeah, because I would be like,
I want to share something with you. So you have grandkids, right?
3.
Beautiful. Give them a shout out.
Oh, okay. I have Aiden. Aiden is 20. He is in FAU. He is a junior now in FAU.
Wow.
So that's unbelievable. 3 of them are totally different. Aiden loves reading, loves facts. He is a deep thinker. Bella is the princess of the house. Bella is 14. She loves music. She loves musical theater, sports. And then is Nate, that is 6 years old. So he's the baby.
He's the baby.
But they are my blessings.
Yes.
And Carolina, my OG blessing. Caro, you too.
We can't forget her. I wanted to say that. So navigating motherhood, I was the eldest of 5, right? And so I always assumed, because I was babysat my siblings and my cousins, that I understood what parenting was about, right? Like you kind of understand, but parenting is different. And when you talked about having a sense of purpose, going through the experience with your husband and coming through with the nonprofit and sort of redefining what purpose looked like for you, to thrive. My son is 15, and it's ironic you mentioned the YMCA. So he did an internship over the summer with the Young Leaders in Training program, right? And he's the baby in the bunch. So in all the cousins, he's the youngest. He is a May baby, so in his class, he's the youngest. Everybody's turning 16. He just turned 15. In our house, he's the youngest. So I didn't have the perspective of him always feeling like he was being told what to do, right? And I watched the last 2 months that he was in this program where he was in charge of young kids, right? And he was Mr. Adam. And he won, like 1 week he won like the lit person of the week. And he came home with his little certificate, all happy. But what it did for him in terms of self-confidence and in terms of his leadership, like EQ, his emotional quota, right? It was beautiful to watch. And not all of it, to your point, was happy. He said, Mom, there was this one kid, I think they paid $5 to pelt you with a pie or something. And this kid spent $15 and hit Adam with pies the whole time, just Adam. But he came home some days and he started wearing my Fitbit. He did 20,000 steps a day. It was not an easy experience. And I gave him the option of you could do summer 1 and opt out of summer 2, right? Just promise me you'll do summer 1 and learn. And then the last day of summer 1, we were in the car, we were going up, and I said, well, it's your last day, say bye to everybody. I already filled out the form to take you out because he said, I'm not doing this. And he said, Mom, is it too late to change my mind? Oh. And inside I was like, ha ha. But on the outside, I kept my face normal because you can't let them see when you're gloating. And I said, well, tell me why. You know what I mean? And he had good reasons and so forth. But I wanted to say that it doesn't matter if we're on the wise end of the spectrum or the just coming up on our adult years. He's 15, end of the spectrum. A sense of purpose and a sense of responsibility and a sense of finding your place in the world, even if it felt hard and you did 20,000 steps or whatever it was, is so important for all of us. And I want to, when you talk about living authentically, that is such a powerful piece of it.
Yeah. Finding
your current, your energy and going there.
Or what you were meant to be.
Yeah.
This may sound corny.
We're all about corny here, Mary Sol.
Yeah. But it's those days that you are like, wow. Because of my husband's job, he traveled 80% of the year.
Yeah.
All the things. So I moved 18 times in 23 years. My daughter went to 13 schools.
Wow.
All over the world.
Yeah.
But of course, I couldn't have a working visa. I would and that's one of the reasons why my purpose was, okay, I'll do it through the nonprofit side where I can volunteer. I was allowed to do that. And then it started with, okay, I'm allowed to do that. To say, no, I was born to do that.
Yeah.
And the legacy you are talking, look, a lot of these podcasts, these kind of podcasts or interviews or things like that, of course, are focused on people that are working, that are in corporations or in their businesses. But regardless if you are working or you are just at home, the big sense of purpose is the family and the legacy you do, because you are building great citizens with your children. Yeah. You are helping them find their purpose, but you are giving them their tools. You are giving them values. You are giving them. So I really believe whatever we do in the outside world, to call it,
it's true,
has to start at home.
It's true.
And that is the biggest legacy you can leave.
And that's a part of how we work to redefine success. When I quit my corporate job and I left that job I had worked so hard for, that metric, that title, the salary, the office, the staff, the pride.
The status.
Yes, right? When I walked away from that, and it was a choice, and even now, 3 years later, I'm like, ooh, did I do the right thing? You know what I mean? Because a lot of being an entrepreneur is waking up with that unpredictability. We want to say we know what's going to happen today, but we don't. Right? And anybody that signs up for that, even founder life, like being a founder, you just don't know. But I think that, to your point, even to people that think what I'm doing is not important in their own minds, you have to redefine what success looks like for you. Because your prescription and your metric is not going to be the same for anybody else.
Yes.
And that's a big, big part of the work that we do, is what is important to you. And I think that, I gave this this workshop on generational leadership and how the different generations communicate, how they negotiate conflict, all that stuff. And we're all very different, but the human experience is the same. We all want to do work that we're proud of. We all want to feel like we have a modicum of respect from each other. We all want to feel like we've been heard. You know what I mean? That we matter, that our voice matters. We all want to be treated kindly. So I think that basic values really transcend any kind of difference.
And they are universal.
Universal.
Throughout the different experiences in the different countries where we live and the cultures, at the end of the day, there is more that is similar than things that are different. But we tend to just pick and for everything that separates us. But no, because that's what you are saying, the human experience. And
we all experience sadness. We're all going through challenges with health. We're all reevaluating relationships and boundaries. Like, we're all growing.
Yeah.
And it's messy.
And I really believe one of the things with family and legacy is that we need to try to foster that mentality of global citizens in our children. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, they need to understand
I love that
we are
so
all human.
I went to 8 countries last year. I was on a whirlwind tour. Not like Beyonce or anybody, but it felt good.
50,000 people every time you show.
Right. But that's so important for me with the people I surround myself with, is having that global perspective. Because we really are blessed to live here. It feels challenging sometimes, and we have a lot of work to do. But I do think that it's good to go out sometimes, outside of our comfort zone, outside of our little bubble, and really feel the energy and the excitement. I like to say I went to Barcelona and I found my sexy back last year, because the energy, the music, the flamenco.
Las Ramblas.
Right, yes, it was, right? The food, like everything. I was like, God, I feel so alive here. And for a long time, I had felt just a little bit more contained, And so travel, go find whatever your version of Eat, Pray, Love is. I don't know. And I'm not, but be a global citizen. It really changes the quality of your life, I think, and the engagements that you have, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. Mary Sol, what advice would you give to men and women? And I say men deliberately because I have guys listening, and one of the things that someone said to me, he said, sometimes I feel a little bit alienated. And I do cater to women because I coach a lot of women. I coach men too, but predominantly women come to me. And I said to him, one, I challenged him, but it did resonate with me. When you think about men, and especially immigrant men, who are raised to be very strong and silent, right? And sort of be the providers and all of the things that comes with the cultural norms that the box they're put in. What advice can we give to both men and women navigating midlife uncertainty? Like, what would be your takeaway to them?
I believe that they need to not be afraid to try.
Yeah.
Do not let fear win. I always say that. It's okay. It's okay if you fail and you try something else. but do not get stuck. And with men, I'm going to talk particularly about some of the men I have been blessed to be in touch with, a lot coming from Latin America. Do not be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
It is okay. It is okay to be vulnerable. It is okay to say, I don't know. Something interesting with the chamber and some of the other groups that I have belonged to is mostly women. Some people asked the other day, is this the women's chamber? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But it's mostly women looking for that circle around them.
And community.
For the community that is pushing forward with shared goals, for that mentoring and that hand, to go alongside, while the men are still more reserved. So no, go out of your comfort zone, ask for help, learn new things, try, because you don't lose anything by trying. But again, what if you love what the new thing is? So I believe our men, sometimes are afraid to say, I don't know this, or to look weak, especially in front of their family. But again, they don't have to carry it by themselves. Here we are to do it together.
And that's so ingrained, but I think it's so imperative. And I talk to my nephews and my son, of course, and the men in my circle. I'm so blessed that they are evolved, and so they will lean on each other, but also us, and also call us out on our stuff, which is necessary. So I love that you specifically talk to kind of your circles to allow more of that willingness to put yourself out there, and that it's going to be okay. And if it's not, then those aren't your people. Find us, find your people.
Exactly.
Right? Mary Sol, thank you so much.
No, thank you,
This was
Stacey.
such a blessing to have you on today.
No, thank you. And I wish you all the success, not only with the podcast, but with everything that you have going on.
Same. And thank you for taking me in particular, but also my co-founder for this new initiative we're building under your wing and just sharing so generously. It really has meant the world. So 3 powerful takeaways today from you. 1, know yourself first. Dedicate time to understanding who you are, investing in your personal and professional growth. And we always hear this, but you can't give from an empty cup, right? You can't lead others when you are yourself drained. The other thing that Mary Sol really brought home for us is investing in relationships, which is deeper than just networking and connecting. It's really getting to know each other, understand each other's safe spaces, but pushing each other when we need to grow and we're kind of in our own way. And so cultivating those long-term meaningful relationships, as we've heard, takes years sometimes, but also in our case, it can happen in a couple of months, right?
Yeah.
With the right circles. And then embrace change with courage. How many countries did you say you lived in?
Oh, live like 7.
Moved how many times? That's probably what I meant.
18,
right? So
many cities.
So embrace change with courage, right? And don't see change as a disruption, but kind of as an invitation.
As an opportunity.
Yes. Even if it's to get a different flavor of coffee from a new coffee shop, right? Don't resist reinvention. Success has to mean something to you first, more so than anybody else in your circle. Mary Sol, your journey reminds us that leadership isn't about position, it's about purpose. And it's about resilience and connection and the courage to keep reinventing ourselves no matter what our age or stage in life. So I hope that you've learned something today. And if you enjoy this episode, please like, share, and subscribe to Beyond the Quo. And Mary Sol, where can people find you guys if they want to learn more about the chamber or even you?
Oh, thank you. Visit our webpage. Our webpage is www.myhhcc.com, Hispanic Heritage Chamber. I'm on LinkedIn, but it's written Mary Sol, Mary, and then Sol, Gonzalez, because it shouldn't be like that. It was just a mistake, but see, now
It's a great name.
so connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to hear from all of you.
And she is on Instagram at Mary Sol Boca, MarySolBoca. And yeah, until next time, remember, true transformation starts when you step beyond the status quo. Take care.